Yo, what's up, everybody? This is Drew. I'm going to switch sides, actually, right off the top here. This is Drew and Shaner coming to you on the Habs Tonight team. We don't get to do shows quite as often anymore, it seems, just with our schedules and the fact that the Habs are tanking for a certain individual player, and possibly others. But that being said, Shaner, thanks for jumping on with me. I'm going to tell everybody what we're going to go through today. So I'm really excited to talk to you guys. Well, as excited as you can be about the Canadians right now, because it's not exciting. It's not that exciting to be a Habs fan right now, except for the future that we're looking forward to. Hopefully trade deadline and the draft to have some very good content to give you guys. So Habs team game concept for Marty St. Louis is improving right now, despite all the injuries and the losses. The Laval line has been a revelation lately. Good for those guys. Super pumped for them. We're going to talk about that. Owen Beck's NHL debut last night in Ottawa in a less than thrilling game, to say the least, against Ottawa. But nonetheless, he did get a chance to do his rookie skate and make his debut. Kirby Dach, the revelation that he's become and becoming. The ceiling is getting higher and higher for Kirby Dach by the game, it seems. The Connor Bedard Sweepstakes. The sweepstakes. Shannon, do we pull the image up now or later? Do we tease it now?
Oh boy! I mean, it's been going around, right? But shout out to Bar Down.
Oh my gosh!
Who made this wonderful edit with Caulfield in the back? It's crispy. It's clean. It's things dreams are made of. You know.
Yep. That's the Bar Down shout out for sure. That's a beautiful, beautiful thing that could not possibly look more real. But hey, you know what? It's possible. So let us have some fun. And then we're gonna finish off with Shane's Habs trade proposals. Shane has three realistic trade proposals for the Canadians ahead of the trade deadline, which at the time of the recording of this video, we are 33 days away. Patrick Waugh reference, shout out, and just over a month, Shaner. But let's start with. I guess we can just start with the Habs team game concept. Seems to be getting better lately, even though the wins aren't there as much as we know right now. But as far as the way the team is coming together through the wins, through the losses, they're sticking together, they're standing up for each other, whether it's fights, whether it's just, you know what I mean? So you kind of know what I'm getting at in terms of this idea, right?
That's it. And it's also how Marty's using the guys, I feel, kind of helps out the team, right? The fourth line gets almost as many minutes as the second, right? And everybody's producing. We're going to talk about the Laval line, obviously, but I think that also really helps the fact that he's using everybody to a certain extent, right? Obviously, the first line is going to get more minutes, but it's also fun to know that, the lines aren't numbered like other teams where, okay, first line, they're getting that many minutes, second line, getting that many minutes. They go by the game, they go by the situation. I think that really helps the team concept, like you said, but also the way they play. It seems to be a pass first mentality, and like you said, right, sticking up for your teammates. Nobody's going to get roughed up and not get roughed up back. So I think that's great for team chemistry, team culture. It's great to build off of. Obviously, in a losing season, doesn't really translate too well to the results, but nonetheless, it's building for the future, and it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, this specifically, I think, referencing even the Florida game last week, or I think it was Thursday, just over a week ago, where we saw Arbor Jackeye, Mike Pezzetta get into a fight.
3 fights,
yeah, Kirby Dach in the game a few games later, but there was another fight. I'm just the player who got in the fight in the Florida game. The third one escaping me right now for some reason, but don't scratch your head too hard.
Yeah, no, I can't remember either. Oh wait, no, it was Matheson. It was Matheson.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because he had that hit on
Eric Stahl.
Eric Stahl, former Montreal Canadian Eric Stahl. Jeez. Yeah, that was a I don't know. I mean, those guys are both veteran guys, so but he hit him in the wrong spot for sure. It was a hard hit. But anyway, regardless, the team has been coming together, and they've been sticking with their team mentality, team game concept that Martin St. Louis has been trying to implement since, I would say, last year near the end of the season, but also specifically at the beginning of this season. So it has gotten better. The defense, you can say what you want about the defense and how much they're struggling with. The whole team is struggling. Let's just say that. But the fact that these guys are coming together better as a team through wins and losses is a little bit more of an encouraging sign for how, once the team does get better, this kind of system, this kind of concept, will be giving us better results eventually, Shaner.
That's it.
So that being said, let's jump right into the Laval line because Alex Belzile, Michael Pezzetta, Raphael Harvey-Pinard. I mean, my gosh, Nick had a case for your buddy Raphael Harvey-Pinard. Nick, you were right. They should have listened to you.
Yeah.
I know you love hearing you're right. Okay, you're welcome. But you know what? It's true. I mean, Raphael Harvey-Pinard coming in with that 2-goal, 1-assist performance, start of the game, still in a loss, but the talent, like the kinds of goals he scored, a shorthanded goal and that backhand goal. I don't know if it was you that said somebody told me that he looked like a left-handed Caulfield in that loss against Detroit. So what do you make of this just emerging lately and then beating Toronto? Can I talk about that? We haven't a chance to talk about that before the Detroit game where Raphael Harvey-Pinard had a breakout game. They tied the game. Raph tied the game and sent the game to overtime where Rem Pitlick iced the Leafs. But let's just talk, I guess, about the last week and a half or so of this revelation of the Laval line.
That's it. I mean, it's that next man up mentality, right? That's what these players need to have, and that's what they have, right? When you have an opportunity to show off and really prove yourself, you got to take it. And those guys, I mean, they've gelled fairly easily. Belzile and Harvey-Pinard already have chemistry together from Laval. Pezzetta has mostly been actually, he's only been with the Habs so far this season, but it seems that they clicked right away. And it's like, okay, every guy there is fighting for a spot every night. So they're giving it their all. And you can see that on the ice. Can't say the same for other guys. Not going to name names. They've been named quite a few times already, but it's nice to see some guys putting the effort, right? We know we're not going to make the playoffs. We're likely not going to win many games at all, but at least they're giving the fans a show and they're showing off themselves. So it's encouraging for the future, right? Harvey-Pinard is fairly young, so he most likely has a spot on the future of this team. Belzile getting a bit older, but again, he's still considered a rookie, believe it or not, which is weird.
It's weird. Yeah.
He still doesn't have an NHL goal, so hopefully that comes fairly soon. But
yeah,
it's nice to see, you know, the grinders, not really grinders because they have a bunch of talent, but it's nice to see the fourth line getting rewarded and playing well, you know.
Well, this is a sign of what our fourth line could look like to me. I mean, we could have a fourth line of like Joshua Waugh, Harvey-Pinard, and Owen Beck or something. You know what I mean? Next season, as soon as next season, maybe if they feel Owen is ready. But transition time. So Owen Beck making his NHL debut against the Ottawa Senators in a very less than thrilling game. Shanner, I'm not going to try to lie to our viewers. I did not watch this game. I was watching the Royal Rumble, which was in some ways less than thrilling in terms of just the overall expectations of everyone wanting The Rock to come back because he didn't. Okay. But in terms of that game, Sheener, just over 9 minutes played for Owen Beck in his NHL debut. We saw his rookie skate. Our buddy Kyle Bukauskas, friend of the Habs Tonight show, who will return for our trade deadline show this year again, by the way, sent us an ice level view of Owen Beck's rookie skate. But in terms of the overall game, Sheener, what did you see from Owen in his NHL debut?
Yeah, I mean, one block shot and a great block shot, by the way, very noticeable. And it's nice to see that he has the confidence and the technique to put himself in front of an NHL shot, right? Not every guy can do that. Some guys will just stand there and get nailed and they're out for a few months. So already he has that smarts, you know, that hockey smart. We know he's a smart kid, right? We have two, I don't know what they're called, like hockey student player of the year. I forget the name. There's a name for it, but like there's an award for a CHL player student of the year. And we have two of them, right? Owen Beck had an average of like 94 or something in high school. And Harvey-Pinard actually won it. He had an average of 92 in CEGEP. So a bunch of smart guys on the team. But yeah, I really liked Owen Beck yesterday. He didn't get too much ice time, but again, it was a lost cause, right? Nobody was really playing last night. But he had a few, sparks here and there, a few nice plays. Didn't really get a chance to show off that much. And now he's back with the Peats, but hopefully, like you said, next season, he might actually be able to make the jump earlier than I expected.
I wouldn't be surprised just in terms of, just the way that they're giving a bit more. And honestly, next year, once there's more of the quote dead weight off the team, guys that we know aren't going to be with this team long term, your Dadonovs, your Drouins, your maybe your Hoffmans or your Armias. I mean, I think Hoffman and Armia, they're gonna have to find a place for them. They're not going to be easily tradable. But before we get into that kind of stuff, I think there could be a place for Owen next year. It's certainly a possibility. I don't know if it's rushing him. It kind of might be because he's 18 still. He'll be 19 this year. Probably going to have a return to the World Juniors with Team Canada next year. Was able to get called up to them as well and go get himself a gold medal, and played himself 3 games with Team Canada with 1 assist. But like you said, man, I mean, he got called up for the 1 game. He's already sent back down, which is good news for me. If he stays in Peterborough, that means I might actually get to interview him on March the 3rd. So just selfishly, that could be good news for me. Anyway, but enough about me. Let's go right from Owen Beck to another guy, Kirby Dach, who I feel like has been one of the reasons that the Habs have been watchable, especially we didn't even mention Cole Caulfield going down with injury. We'll talk about Cole maybe in a minute, but what do you make of Kirby Dach's play and emergence lately with this team?
Yeah, I mean, Kirby so far has been a man. He's been adaptable. That's the word that I would describe him as, right? Because when you put him with Suzuki and Caulfield on the wing, he's been great. When you put him at center with any winger, he's been great. He's been great in any situation you put him in. So to see that out of a 22-year-old is more than encouraging, right? It's really fun to see, and it's also, you scratch your head at Chicago, like how do you give up on a guy so quickly? Like, that's just a brutal move. Hopefully, it works out for them. Frank Nazar seems to be a good pick, but right now it's a terrible trade for them. Great for us though. But I mean, he has 32 points in 50 games so far, which is more than we expected. He's hit his first 10+ goal season. He hadn't hit 10 goals yet. So, and we're only 50 games into the season. He's going to hit way more. And now we know he knows how to fight. I mean, he's a big boy, right? But we didn't really see his physical chops yet, right? He nailed Gudas against Florida. He just smoked him and then stared him down like a boss. And then he had a few more big hits, but then Andrew Kopp, big mistake, challenges him to a fight. And obviously Kirby Dach smokes him, no chance. So he's really like the most well-rounded player on the team, in my opinion. He can do everything and anything. It's pretty encouraging.
I think it's early to say just on what we've seen, but like, this is the kind of player Kent Hughes saw, Jeff Gorton saw, and that's why they went so hard after Kirby just before the draft. Like, you never see big trades at drafts, and we were so fortunate to see that happen. I mean, they had to put on a show at the Bell Center. Like, it was the first draft live in person. It was at the Bell Center. We had the first overall pick, and that was one spectacle in itself. But then when you get the Kirby Dach trade, and now seeing the results, the early returns, it's pretty encouraging, man. Like, this kid is fun to watch. His confidence, you can tell he's going to be better than he thought he was going to be, maybe, or maybe he had expectations for it, but we're seeing him and his confidence go up and up
big time.
And you saw them,
by the way, did you see that video where he was mic'd up?
I did.
What you're going to talk about? Yeah. Oh,
yes. He read my mind.
Yeah, like exactly. You see what kind of personality he has, right? He gels so well with the team. And the one aspect that stood out for me the most is when him and Cole were just scoring goals, and they were celebrating each goal. They're like, I love scoring goals. Even in practice, they're saying stuff like that. They're not taking practice for granted. And Kirby was like saying, this is the best practice I've had all year, stuff like that. So that work ethic, that passion is infectious. And I think, he's going to be a fan favorite for a long time. I just know it.
Yeah, I think that the fans are usually it's pretty easy it was pretty easy and quick for Suzuki and Caulfield to get a huge fan base behind them, starting with the 2021 Stanley Cup playoff run. But even last year, Nick's breakout season and, his highest point production, and then eventually becoming captain, and Cole just being the goal scorer that he is. But Kirby Dach has all these other elements to his game that we're learning about. And it's nice, man. He's such a big guy, but his size doesn't seem to be like a negative for him. It's just, it's a great thing. It's been encouraging to watch so far. So we didn't have this title up, but I will bring it up because I do feel it's very relevant, and that is Cole Caulfield season-ending shoulder surgery. I'm typing
Right.
this into our title as we speak, just because it'd be kind of odd not to mention this. He just had his press conference the other day where we learned when he got the injury and the reason that they decided to pull Cole out and make sure that he's healthy and ready to go next season, Shaner.
Yeah, I mean, that press conference was a dagger to the heart, right? You could tell how sad and how sad Cole was, and he had to mention that the trainers took away his sticks and his skates because he would be on the ice shooting with one hand if it were up to him, and he did.
He still did anyway.
He did it anyways. He took Arbor's stick and was shooting from with the big hat there. Yeah, he was shooting from the bench, but man, like this guy is just so special. And timing wise, obviously, right, for him it's bad because he was about to hit 40 goals, maybe even 50, but it's also his contract year, right? So this plays a big part in his contract negotiations. But for us, timing is good because this is a losing season, right? This is a season we don't need Cole at 100%, and if we can keep him out of the game until next year where he'll be 100%, all the better. And we've heard Josh Anderson say that who got the exact same surgery by the same surgeon. He said that his injured shoulder is now stronger than the other one. So it's encouraging to know that. Cole is also younger, and he made sure to point that out, right? He's like, I'm younger, so I'll heal faster than Josh. That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, it sucks for the fans, on an entertainment aspect, right? People go into the Bell Center not getting a chance to see the most electric player on the team, but long term, I think it's for the best.
Yeah, it absolutely is. It was the right move, and I mentioned that even in a video yesterday too. So it's all for the better, and if you're going to do this rebuild right, you got to take advantage of the opportunities in front of you, and it just made sense for a lot of reasons to pull them out and just let the season unfold the way it does and our draft order end up where it does, because it needs to happen. So that being said, the Bedard Sweepstakes, so that kind of transitions us into where the Canadians are at in the Bedard Sweepstakes. So right now we are sitting 26th overall, Shaner, in the NHL standings overall. And if you look at how close we are with other teams, even right now we've got Vancouver nipping at our heels. They have 43 points to our 44. Arizona is right behind with 38. So I don't see many more wins coming, especially after the trade deadline. So you have to think that hopefully the Canadians' odds will improve a little bit in the lottery. But what do you think about the possibility of getting a third lottery ball after the trade deadline? And maybe should we just jump right into your trade proposals?
Well, I do have a trade for a first round pick, but staying on the Bedard Sweepstakes, right? Bedard is a player that we've rarely seen, like the type of player we've rarely seen. Right? We've been seeing the comparisons, right? Crosby, McDavid, all that. It's true. Like, you see what he did at the World Juniors is unprecedented. He wasn't just dominant. He was steamrolling over everybody. Like, every time he was on the ice, he was creating something. So whichever team gets him is very, very lucky, right? And it doesn't matter if you finish last, you still might not have a chance to get him, right? The Edmonton Oilers didn't finish last the year they got McDavid. Buffalo did. They did get Eichel. We know how that turned out, but still,
yeah.
Even if we don't finish last, we still have a very good chance of getting him. And thank you, Mr. Ben Sherratt, because we also have Florida's pick, and they've been average. Okay, they haven't been terrible, they haven't been good, just in the middle. So hopefully they realize they don't have a shot. Hopefully they don't make the playoffs, right? And they're sellers at the trade deadline. That's wishful thinking. I don't think it'll happen, but I really, every loss by the Florida Panthers is great. Yesterday, freaking Alex Barkov scored with 1 second left and brought it to overtime. And then I think it was Reinhart who scored the OT winner. So that was not good. But anyways, we'll have hopefully 3 chances at Bedard, probably only 2 because the third team will likely be a playoff team. But yeah, man, if we can get him, like, that fast tracks the rebuild by at least 2 years, in my opinion. He's that good. He is that good. It's going to be stupid.
It'd just be nice to get a generational talent, like,
When's the last time we had one? When's
Guy
the last
Lafleur.
time we had one? Exactly. Exactly.
Like, I don't know a
In
better
the 70s.
like I know we've had some okay good players, but in terms of like, wasn't Guy draft? No, he was traded. You got to remind me of how we got Guy. Wasn't he first overall?
He was first overall. We traded for that pick, though. We
That's
didn't
right.
win the lottery, but we traded for that pick.
Which is magic in itself. It was like meant to be, because like that would never happen nowadays.
No.
So yeah, and we love you, Guy, forever, by the way. Just want to throw that out there. But yeah, man, I just like, the more time goes on, we just haven't had a generational player, and it's just like, I don't want to say the Montreal Canadiens fans deserve it. We've had a history of all this winning, but like, that was before our lifetime. Like, let's win in this lifetime. You know what I mean? So, but you know what? We're going to talk about him many more times between now and the draft, but it's just exciting to have a chance, I guess, because I don't think it's going to be more of a tense and more viewed draft lottery than this one in maybe history. No. I think it's going to be the most viewed in history, for sure. At least up to, and probably going to hold that place for a long time. I know the McDavid sweepstakes were right up there, as I'm sure the Austin Matthews and, but I don't think since them have we had a player that'll have this much eyeballs on that draft lottery, because it's going to be big. Yeah, it's going to be big, and everyone's eyeballs are going to be on it. So anyway, Shane's trade proposals for the Canadiens. Shane, let's just fire away. We want to hear them.
Right. So my first one involves getting a first-round pick. There's been, it's no secret, right? Monahan to Colorado seems the most probable situation.
Makes a lot of sense.
But with his injury, right, it's like there's uncertainty here. He was practicing and he was a full participant. I don't think he was full contact though, but he's not practicing anymore. So like, has there been a setback? Like, what's happening there? If he can get a few games here before the trade deadline, show that he's healthy and still good to go, then, he's probably gone. So I have Colorado getting Monahan at 50% retained. Since this is his last year of contract, we can take the cap hit, doesn't matter. And I also have Hoffman going to Colorado at 25% retained. Colorado is seriously lacking depth this year. If they believe in Hoffman, who can potentially bring some goal scoring and power play presence, then I feel like they'd be willing to take on those two guys for a first round pick, especially if their contracts are retained. So I have Hoffman retained at 25%. I believe Colorado would be inclined to take that, but again, it all depends on how they view Monahan and Hoffman. But for their needs, I think they would fit their plans fairly well. Second trade here is wishful thinking, but again, it could happen. I got Washington taking on Dadonov in a 2023 fifth round pick. Dadonov at 50% retained. And the Habs would be getting Habs legend Lars Eller and a fourth round pick. Now, why Lars Eller is because he's been terrible. Like, I'll be honest, this season he's been awful. So basically just swapping players, and with Dadonov retained, lower salary cap, and the Habs get a fourth round pick on that deal as well. So they jump around, and Lars Eller's contract is up at the end of the year, so it doesn't matter if you want to re-sign him or not.
Right.
Now, my last trade here is a bit out there, but could happen, right? There might be some cap restraints, but I have Edmonton getting Joel Edmondson, again, depending on his injury, if it's serious or not, and Jonathan Drouin, both at salary retained, for Jesse Puljujarvi and Raphael Lavoie. Edmonton needs to make moves, okay? They are wasting McDavid and Draisaitl's prime. I've been saying this ever since we started this channel, right? I hate the way they've been managed. So they need to go all out, like, now, right? They have Stuart Skinner's been really good. The best goaltending they've had in years. That's saying a lot. So take that advantage, right? They need to be buyers at the trade deadline. And Puljujarvi has not been a fit whatsoever on that team. And he's got a decent contract as well. So we'd be taking that on. He's a risk, but he also has potential. And then Raphael Lavoie is a 22-year-old prospect who I don't think they've they view him as, you know, a big part of their future. So take him in as well. Good prospect to have in the system. But yeah, those are my 3 trades. We'll see how that happens. I actually did get one right on the dot last year, which was the Lehkonen one. I said we'd trade Lehkonen to Colorado for Barron in a second. I didn't say it out loud. I said it on my phone though, but I did. I did.
Well, I think Colorado, being that they're already trade partners, the Monahan trade just makes so much sense. Given that they won with Kadri last year, Monahan's a center, brings maybe not as much talent as Kadri, but does bring an element that Colorado could use. He's a centerman who can play. He's a player. Monahan's a player. So and he deserves a chance at a Stanley Cup. That guy worked his tail off for years in Calgary, and we've already seen in a small sample size what he's been able to do just on the Canadiens, and positionally sound, just always makes the right play, I find. You know, so I like that. That would be juicy if we can get it. Now, what was the return from Colorado again? A first?
Yeah, just 2023 first.
So okay, for this year.
Yeah.
So that would be top 10 protected because Colorado's in the playoffs. Is that right? Which means it wouldn't go into the lottery mix for the Canadiens, right?
No, that's it. If they make the playoffs, it wouldn't, and they will. Let's be honest. But
still, 3 first rounders.
Exactly. Like we got Machar at the bottom of the first round last year. Where we got Beck and Hudson in the second, so we know there's plenty of talent. All throughout the first round. So no matter where, it's still a good pick.
You know that the Canadiens did their homework. So I didn't have a time to create enough trade proposals, but I thought you mentioned Drouin. So Drouin and Monahan. That's kind of like good for Drouin if he actually can go. Can you imagine? Like, or you said Hoffman. Wasn't it Hoffman?
Hoffman to call. You know what? Hoffman and Drouin are kind of interchangeable. I have Hoffman going to Colorado because I feel like they're lacking depth and power play. Like he could be a good guy on the second PP. And Drouin on the Oilers, kind of a younger guy-ish, could be a part of their future, but that's just the way I see it. But they can be interchangeable. I mean, Drouin has chemistry with McKinnon, right? So right now they have the first line is Lehkonen, McKinnon, and Rodriguez. If they really want to give Drouin a chance, they could just put him on the first line with 2 guys that he has experience with, right? Lehkonen and McKinnon. Who knows, right? Like there's possibilities there, but that's just the way I see it. Yeah,
I mean, if that's like the last chance of his career for Drouin, as far as I'm concerned, in terms of like, have a chance to go win. But I mean, he's a hard player to figure out. After everything, it's just like I don't know what he has left. I don't know what he can still become. I just don't know. But I do know it's time for us to move on from him, and we will. So either way, we will, by trade or at the end of the season. Mm-hmm. So that being said, Shaner, we will wrap it up and thank everyone for watching, of course. And stay tuned for some announcements this week. I'll be making an announcement on the channel actually as well. But Shaner, it's been a pleasure, of course, and we will continue seeing how the season unfolds before we head to the trade deadline here. And we know it's been a tough go. So if you stuck out this far in this episode, we know the season has been tough treading again, but we are getting somewhere soon, Shaner.
There's hope. There's hope.
To quote one of my favorite movies of all time, hope is a good thing. Yep. Maybe the best of things. Shawshank Redemption. Anyway. All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching, and we shall see you next time. Cheers.